All right, welcome. Today I'm going to tell a story about my time at school, but my point isn't going to be centered around how shitty it was at school. I have a bigger point, and that's something I'm probably going to go back to more than once. Um, and it's kind of a big topic, so I'm going to try and keep it contained to just a few thoughts I had. So if you don't hear me go over a point that you find obvious or you think is worth discussing, leave it in the comments, because I am going to do more than one of these, because I think this is a pretty sizable topic. And the topic is anti-human stuff is not good for you. Like, it's not good in general. I think I can say objectively, not subjectively, it's bad. Because everyone who can understand me is a human. So I went to a liberal arts school, and everyone there is like super left. And so the very trendy thing is being like anti-white, right? Anti-European. And as my AP Euro teacher said, although he may be quite biased, European history is kind of like human history. And to me, it seems kind of obvious looking back, but at the time I was pretty surprised that so many people were anti-human. That like being pro-human, people would be like, "Oh, is that guy conservative? He wants the human race to persist." I asked someone who's kind of like struggling and kind of not doing great in school, not a lot of like financial prospects if he left school, and I asked him because I was feeling pretty downtrodden, pretty like pessimistic about the future myself, and I asked him if you could be abducted by aliens and then put into an alien zoo, and like once a week they would do a show and they'd give you a new video game, and you'd have like a girl in there with you or whatever, and people would like take photos and tap on the glass and watch you and whatever. Would you be content? Like being someone who's like in kind of a shitty situation, you're kind of you do kind of think like those scenarios like what would you do for $1 million, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and I thought that was like without like super degrading stuff. I was just curious about like how people were feeling about dignity and stuff. So the guy was totally fine with it, which I kind of thought he might be. This guy wasn't like politically minded or anything. He was just kind of like a doofus. He wasn't either. But then the next person I asked was like, yes, before I finished the scenario. Like anything that an alien could do to them, they were okay with. And I thought that was like abhorrent. So I changed the question, like, okay, they're gonna invade, right? And they're gonna kill all humans. And people were like, great. Everyone I came to about the question was like, yes, oh, I'd let them, I'd fight with them, I'd kill all humans. And it was like, you're human. So anyway, I was coming out of like a talk or something that was like required for a class. And so I was running into a whole bunch of other people, because we all kind of came out of the talk at once, and like I had some friends who had friends that were, whatever, and so we were all kind of talking. So I laid the scenario out to someone, and someone overheard, and then they were like, and then it kind of spread through the whole group. Would you be okay with aliens invading? And I was curious if the question how I changed it to, but I never really finished it, was would you be okay with, would you fight back if aliens invaded if you knew you would lose? But I never finished the prompt to anyone except my friend. He was the only one who was like, is there more to the prompt, right? Two other people were like, yeah, I would fight, right? Fuck yeah, humanity, fuck yeah, conservative. And then everyone else was like, no, they should win. Like, without knowing anything about the aliens, they're like, by default, not human equals good. And I think that's bad. I think that's really bad. Not even for the fear of aliens actually showing up, but like in your daily life, if you live as something that is inferior, you're probably not going to be that motivated to do anything. And I think that's kind of the point, but let's keep this just contained. Yeah, so I think that is a very like cancerous kind of content to be consuming. And I know it's kind of everywhere. But the fact you can't avoid it, or let me rephrase that, you can avoid it, and the fact that you're consuming so much media that you feel like you can avoid it might mean that you need to just chill. Like, maybe consume less. If you're running out of content that makes you feel good, and you start consuming content that makes you feel bad, and you just can progressively deaden yourself to how shitty it is, you're not in a good place mentally, I am positive. Um, and I think having so much out there makes you feel like you have to consume, but you don't. Like when people come to me and talk about like, oh, did you see the Netflix adaptation or aberration of whatever IP? I say no. They're like, oh, you don't watch Netflix? I'm like, no, it's all garbage. And then they're like, but what else? What do you do? And it's like, I do plenty of things. I don't need to watch Netflix. Example I brought out was this Char. So this is the villains of Guild Wars, are the Char, fire worshipping evil cat people. In the first game, they set the whole like world on fire. You start out in this idyllic place and then they burn it to the ground. It becomes like a post-apocalyptic fantasy. Kind of out there, but then you travel to not post-apocalyptic fantasy and it ends up being, for most of your playtime, there's mountains, but I feel like most of your playtime is like in maybe I don't know. The kind of the like a tropical thing which is a little weird. Anyway, when you're in pre-searing, which is like a zone that only the noobs can go to, only when you first make a character. Once you leave it, you can't go back because it's going through time. There's a character named Gwen, a little girl, and she has lost her flute, and one of the tutorial missions is go over to where the river monsters are, get her flute back. Her flute's broken, you bring it back, she thanks you anyway. You can then go buy her a flute for like nothing, and then she'll be happy and like sing you a song or play you a song or something. You can then, if you stay in pre for a longer period of time, you can make enough money that there's this merchant that'll sell you a little girl's cape. And you can give it to Gwen, and then she's happy and she does a dance, and she'll follow you around and play some garbage healing spell flute thing. The beginning area is so hard that you need to do that? No. But it's cute and it's sweet and it like makes you happy, and it kind of illustrates the fact that Ascalon was this very nice place. Then the searing happens, where the Char enact some kind of ritual. They go through the catacombs to get really close, and then they enact a ritual and set the whole place on fire. Burn everything. Meteors fall down, kill a bunch of people. And then everyone's backstory, like the main characters of this MMO, they all have a story kind of related to after the searing. Like where they were when the apocalypse happened. Now, if you explore around, you will find probably roughly where she was in pre-searing. You'll find a broken flute next to a crater, and you go, oh no, Gwen died. And it's sad. And there's no dialogue, there's no quests. You can just find an item, broken flute, you can pick it up and clog up your inventory. And it doesn't do anything, you can't do anything with it as far as I know. So Prince Rurik leads people west because he thinks Ascalon is doomed, and his father stays. All the way at the end of the game, you can fight with his father in a super, super fucking hard quest that no one's doing. So goddamn hard, and then at the end you just get like a text box, and that's it. That's you defeating the Char for Ascalon. I really enjoyed that quest, and I thought going to Guild Wars 2, it was going to be like, some kind of continuation of that, like fighting the Char back. Then you get to Guild Wars 2, and I'm like, alright, well, I'm gonna go travel to Ascalon. That's fucking awesome, because you start in the place that Rurik settled people to. So you go east, and you go find the Ascalon, and Char live there now. And I'm like, this is abhorrent. Why did the cat people win? Why is that the story? And the whole story of the game kind of doesn't have anything to do with that. And so I was very demotivated to play the story, because I was like, well, I remember Ascalon. I remember pre-searing Ascalon. I want it back. I want to fight the Char. I want to win. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then all the side quests were like, oh, kill Ascalonian ghosts. And I was like, what? Why would I kill the ghosts? They should haunt you! You genocided them! Did you say sorry? They're dead! You killed them, you killed their family, you burned their whole village down, you burned their whole country down. And now you live in the ruins of their town because you polluted your own country too much. Like, when you try to go into Char territory, the river you have to pass through is all full of tar. Like, the Char pollute they burn, they're evil. Most of the quests in Guild Wars 1, you'd find people like chained up and burned to death, attached to these like pillars and stuff. Like, I think Rurik's like wife is like burned alive. It's like so brutal. And you get to Guild Wars 2 and they're like, oh, we're cat people, and oops. You're supposed to like do these quests to fight Ascalonian ghosts, and I was like, I absolutely refuse to kill a single fucking ghost. I'm not killing any of these. They should kill you. You should all die. You deserve this. You genocided an entire country of humans, and now the humans are haunting you, and I'm a human. I'm a human in the game, I'm a human outside the game. I'm never gonna be a cat person, I'm never gonna, like, identify with fire cat people that genocide humans. And I think that's probably a healthy mindset to have. I got the collector's edition, I was like, oh, that's a cool, like, yeah, the villains, like, oh, I can't wait to kill them. They look so cool, I can't wait to kill them. Like, you see a dragon, and you're like, I can't wait to kill a dragon. So I got this, and this is Rurik's sword. He has a flaming sword like that, and it's like a really cool item, and you can get them, but they kind of, you know, they're bad, I guess. I mean, they're fine. I think there's some versions of them that are like special you get from a boss or something, or blue, I saw a lot of people with. But I didn't play Melee, so... Yeah, the writing had changed direction, and I think maybe that was one of the first times I noticed that writing in general was going more away from humans being good. I know recently this has come up because of Avatar 2, and I guess there's a lot to talk about there, but this is my first experience with, like, human bad where I really noticed it, and I was like, this is fucked up. Who wrote all this? And then later you'd have, like, the writers have some kind of, like, thing where they were like, oh, of course you're mansplaining to me, or whatever, on Twitter. So someone was like, oh, giving them some kind of critique on, like, their writing or something, and then they were like, of course a man would try to explain to me! Ah! I'm so accomplished, I managed to pretend that the cat people weren't evil. In the first game, you would skin them, by the way. You could sell char hides as like a pickup. When you killed them, they would sometimes drop their hides. This is another thing. This is a longer topic, but I'm just briefly going to touch on this. The char are better than humans in every way in the lore of the game, right? They're smarter all of a sudden. For some reason, they were like, oh, Fire Nation was cool in Avatar, so we're going to make the char the Fire Nation. They have giant mechanical cities, lots of technology. Not really what was going on in the first game. And then they're just stronger, too. They're bigger, stronger, smarter, and they somehow have the moral authority. They're like good people. It's like, oh, we're not part of that fire religion anymore? Kinda don't give a shit. Kinda feel like you should all die. Resurrect King Dane and kill the char. The char should die. Every last one of them. Wipe them out. It is honestly crazy to me that, like, and I kind of tried to lead a path to it with, like, the anti-European stuff, but I still think it's really crazy to be part of an ideology that's essentially anti-human. Because you're human. It's like there's a lot of critiques about humans, and I get that's another topic. It's like, oh, they have no introspection. And it's like, well, you're human. You say that they have no introspection. You have introspection. So it's like humans pollute the environment. It's like only out of necessity. Humans really like the environment. They complain about pollution in like tons of media. People really don't want to pollute. As far as science can tell us, the only creatures in the universe with morality are humans. The only ones. Not machines, not cat people, just humans. So when you say good, you're referring to something that a human would do. Everything moral comes from people. I mean, you can focus on the bad, but the fact that you find the bad in humans abhorrent is a good human trait. You want to wipe out the evil and be left with the good. You, watching this, are the ultimate good, essentially. Because you're human. So in conclusion, don't simp for cat people. You're amazing. Humans are great. Try to limit your anti-human consumption because you're human, and I can't imagine it's going to be good for your mental health. And I'll be back on this topic again sometime soon. Thanks for watching.